We're live. That was quick.
Right.
Hey, everybody. Crystal and Florian here.
Hey guys.
And we are going to talk about, I think we're not in the middle. Come
Yeah,
this way? This way?
there
Okay.
you
All right. Getting close. So we are going to be chatting today about stress and burnout, particularly with types 2, which is the helper or the giver, type 6, the loyalist or the loyal skeptic, and type 1, the perfectionist or the idealist. And remember, even if you're not one of those types, you have that type in you. So you may want to listen to this because you'll say, oh my gosh, I totally see myself doing that.
Or maybe you know like a friend or a parent or your child or somebody be that type, and then you can actually point it out in them. That's helpful too.
I don't know if we should point it out in other
Wow.
people, but
I
you
guess
can
you
observe
notice
it. Don't be that person.
All right, I'll not point it
No,
out.
don't.
I'll just notice it and
Just
see it.
notice it.
All right.
Yeah, so absolutely, by knowing other people's types, it helps us have more compassion and sympathy for them when they're in that moment of stress and how they're reacting. We can say, oh my gosh, I totally get it now. I see why this is happening. And as you guys jump on and listen, if you have any questions or comments or things come up for you, drop them in the comment box. I'm happy to respond to those. All right, and so I think we have Alyssa on here. Hey girl, Alyssa, do you know your type? I don't know if I know I haven't typed you personally, but maybe you've taken the Enneagram assessment. I'd love to know what your type is. If I had to guess, based on your Facebook Lives, I think I might guess a type 7. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm waiting.
Great. So This whole theme here that we have, I guess, this week is all about the Enneagram and the body and sort of self-care. Is that what we're looking at? We have like rest. We talked about rest yesterday, and I think today.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say it's about the body, but this week the theme is around self-care and stress. You know, stress is huge right now, especially as we're leaving summertime behind and getting into the fall. Things really tend to ramp up for people. So I wanted to talk about how each of the types reacts to and handles stress. And so today, like I said, we're going to do types 2, type 6, and type 1. So let's just get into that, right? So let's start with type 2. That's the helper or the giver. So many of us have a 2 inside of us. If we're the type of person who loves to help others and enjoys being of service, we tend to think of other people first. If you have some of that flavor in you, then you can, kind of understand this burnout and stress mode that 2s can get into. So what we see with type 2s is they end up doing so much for everybody else, they completely neglect themselves. So they keep giving and giving and giving and running themselves ragged, meeting the needs of their friends, of their the people they serve in their business, of their family. And at the end of the day, they're just exhausted because there's nothing left to give of themselves. So the kind of burnout and stress you see in a type 2 is often kind of masked with this optimistic, very busy face. Like, no, I'm just doing all the things and I love it and I love helping other people. But deep down inside, they're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And they just fall on the couch at the end of the day with like a glass of wine and some cheese. And they're like, oh, I can't believe I have to do this all over again tomorrow.
My mom is a type 2, so that reminds me. I think she's gotten very good at taking care of herself and taking a nap here in the middle of the day too.
A little siesta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's what 2s really need, is time to slow things down and take care of themselves first, which can be really challenging for a type 2. And even bigger challenge is to actually ask others to take care of them. That's like graduating to the higher level. So that's my little nugget of advice for type 2. If you can really just first make some me time in your schedule and actually schedule it in and hold it, like make it a priority, that'll go a long way to preventing that stress and burnout. So the next type we're going to talk about is the type 6, the loyalist or the loyal skeptic. So this is one of the thinking types, and they love to plan ahead. They tend to be a bit anxious, and they always want to think about what could possibly go wrong and how can I make a plan to prevent that and make sure everything goes perfectly. So if you're the type of person who likes to have a plan, like say you're going on a trip and you want to think through it, like what are we going to do, where are we going to stay, how are we going to get there, every little thing, then you might have a little bit of 6 energy in you too. So notice that and know that with a type 6, the main thing that creates that stress and burnout is not being in the present moment, but being in the future. So it's trying to predict all the things that could happen and trying to prepare for those things as if we could control the future. Unfortunately, as we all know, we can't.
No.
Damn.
I have a little bit of a 6 wing, so I always
Yeah.
love making plans. And
Right.
then I was thinking of my sister. She that loyalist component of like
Right.
always, almost like a little bit like taking care of others
Yeah.
in the sense of organizing and planning.
Mhm.
She definitely puts a lot of energy into this.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, his baby sister, type 6. And we can see that she cares so much about everybody else, and she really wants to create the perfect thing for everybody to get together, like events. And she gets really stressed out and puts a lot of energy into making it happen, right? So the remedy to that is what we touched on, which is being in the present moment and saying, right here, right now, everything's okay. I may not be able to predict the future or control it, and that is going to have to be okay. And I trust that I'm a resilient person, and that whatever happens in the present, future moment, I will handle it when it happens. That can be very soothing to a type 6. Cool. So then we'll move into type 1, and this is the perfectionist. This is a body type. We also call them the idealist. So they really have the strong sense of their values and what they feel to be right and wrong. Can kind of be a bit of a black and white sort of way of thinking. So the way this comes across is that they'll want to do things the right way. So that may be in their job. They say, okay, I'm writing this article. I'm going to make sure it's perfect, that there's no punctuation errors, no spelling errors. Perfect. If I'm planning an event, I want everything to go off perfectly. I have my list of all the ways that things need to happen, and this is the right way. Even getting dressed in the morning, is this done right? Is my hair right? Like, the right way and the wrong way is very, very clear in one's mind. So if you notice that with yourself, a clear sense of right and wrong and how to uphold the right way, then you may have some of that 1 inside of you too. And as you can imagine, right? Oh, you're going to say your dad?
I was just saying you're covering my whole family today.
I know,
so.
Isn't that weird? His dad is a 1.
There you go. And he certainly keeps things, I would say, very straight, and right or wrong is something very important to him.
Right.
I can see that. And,
yeah.
That comes up, or it can stress you out if things don't go that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when ones get stressed, there's an anger in there, like a boiling anger, but they don't want to let it out because that's not right. So instead, they'll sort of repress it back, and then you can see kind of a tightness that comes over them, like a military, like, I'm stoic, I'm going to get this done, and they'll execute on the thing that needs to get done. But there's a tension. A lot of ones really carry a lot of tension and stress in their jaw and in their neck, because there's just that holding back of the frustration that they feel when other people oftentimes don't do things the right way, especially according to a 1 standards, because they have very high standards. I love having 1s on the team because they'll be the ones that go the extra mile to get the things done right.
Sounds like they need a massage every now and then.
Massage is great. I mean, great things for type 1, since they are a body type, definitely getting into the body. Taking time to just say, you know what? There's no such thing as perfection, really. There's no black and white. There's a lot of gray in the middle. And learning to be more in that gray zone of like, it was good enough. Like, that's the mantra that a type 1 would want to adopt in order to live a more stress-free life. To stop seeking perfection and to go with good enough, and to notice that other people aren't going to uphold your standards, and having to make peace with that. It's a hard journey, but it really relieves a lot of the stress. Then on a more superficial level, being a body type, 1s do really well with any kind of physical stuff like massage, stretching, yoga session, even just stretching your neck at your desk, getting out for a walk, and, distributing that energy that tends to get bottled up inside. So that was it for today for the 3 types we're going to touch on. Later in the week, continuing on this same theme, we're going to do types 4, 5, and 8. So the romantic or the individualist, the investigator or the observer, and then the challenger or the protector. So if any of those titles sound interesting to you, or you think you might have a little bit of that within you, tune in later, likely on Friday, when we'll talk about those types under stress.
I will certainly be there.
You'll be there.
I
think I might come too. It sounds
All
pretty
right,
cool.
Let's do it together.
All right.
I'll see you then.
Signing off. Bye, guys.